On this episode of Pass or Gas, Sword of Legends Online. Solo is an Eastern Chinese MMO that is finally coming to the West. It has not been on my radar that it was actually coming to the West, so I was pleasantly surprised when I was gifted some keys and access to test the game out. As of doing this video, we're at the end of closed beta test phase 2, which had more players and allowed us to keep our characters. I got to level 37 on a Reaper and got to level 37 as well on a Bard. The game treats the first 37 levels as a tutorial of sorts. To get through these on NA at least, it takes between 8 hours for someone who had it routed out and maybe 16 for someone just grinding hard. In the Eastern version, the same process takes about 1 hour. For someone like myself who is interested mostly in endgame PvP and endgame PvE, the tutorial taking as long as it did was a bit of a negative. It was mostly a lot of running back and forth with minor kill quests. To the game's defense though, I did skip all of the dialogue and cutscenes, so I can't speak of how immersive the story is. After I hit 37 on my Reaper, I queued for PvP. The first few matches, due to my low rating, were against bots and with bots. I assumed this would fix at a higher rating. Unfortunately though, after climbing 400 or so rating, I still queued into bots about 2/3 of the time. And I'm not sure if this was due to the population, just it being a closed beta test, but queuing into bots when I'm looking to fight people, not the best outcome. The 3v3s were fun. Going forward, I can see skill-based 3v3s with set up battle teams. I mostly solo queued my entire experience, which by the way, you can solo queue into pre-mades. The PvP is time-gated to not include offline hours, so people can't win trade. I am biased on this as I play late, but I would hope we're allowed to at least queue at night for practice. They have different group PvP events going on daily as well. The two I played were variants of control point maps, mixed with kills adding to the points. The combat is enjoyable, but again, solo queuing up into big pre-made groups is not that enjoyable, and I was on the giving and receiving end of that. I unfortunately did not get to do any of the hard mode dungeons, which the guild did, but I did do some normals. I was told that if you do the hard mode dungeons in X amount of time, you can proc rare bosses that have high level mechanics you need to do. I hope come next test I'm able to test those out myself, as I'm very interested to see what the end game PvE is. So let's tally it up. What do we have on the passes? The optimization is really bad. In some instances, 20 to 30 FPS is average. They're working on upgrading Unreal 4, but I have to, you know, give them a mark for this. The performance is horrible. When it does run above 60 frames, it runs well, but as soon as you get any spell effects on there, any type of high fidelity stuff, it plummets. So hopefully they get the new engine in as soon as possible. The game is very much on the rails until level 37. As I said, that, you know, that could take you a couple days if you're slower, and you're not really doing any of the end game until you muscle through that. Next, PvP is time gated. For someone like me who wants to queue whenever I want, I don't like that there's certain windows I have to queue for. I understand why they do it, but you know, in my defense, I just feel like I should be able to queue for PvP whenever I want, because we're going to be missing some of the PvP come NA release. Western release will be missing a lot of the PvP related content as well as raids. There might even be some dungeons missing from it. That's a concern for me. You know, games coming from the East to the West, how long does it take us to get that content? You know, if you were around for Bless, you know how that went. It never came. So obviously this is a concern of mine. We will see what their update schedule is like and all that stuff going forward. Now on to the gas. Monetization. This game is $40, only cosmetic cash shop. The Chinese version only has a cosmetic cash shop. You can't beat that monetization. I think this is going to be a great game for someone to buy and play, and then come back later, you know, once they've released new content. It's going to be something you can pick up very easily and get back into. The world is gorgeous, a very pretty, well-made world. The AI is well made. I haven't seen a lot of duplicate mobs. Very well done world. Combat is skill-based, albeit a mix of tab and action combat. It is still very enjoyable. There's some combo mechanics you need to do depending on the class. I found Reaper to be very challenging, Bard to be a little bit more straightforward, but both were very enjoyable to play. A robust housing system. It has like a neighborhood district that's kind of like an instance with different levels where you can like live next to other people. It has a very robust decorative side to the game via, you know, a lot of those are in the cash shop, but a lot you can get in the world by doing quests to decorate your abode with and invite people. It's actually one of the better housing systems I've seen of any of the theme parks we've had out in a while. Lots of different events at all times, plenty of mini games going on. There's always some type of event going on, a fishing event, some type of Bomberman mini game. There's a card game as well in there, so it's got a lot of cool things to check out. In closing, we're going with 6 out of 10 gas on this one. This is a really solid theme park MMO with decent combat and PvP laced in it. The gearing system is super fair. The monetization is as fair as you can get. For me personally, this will hold me over until other MMO projects listed this year come out. It's something I could see myself picking up in the future after they add more content. The big negative for me is going to be the optimization and the performance. Hopefully they get that ironed out with the new engine. And I look forward to testing more of the game.